Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hey, Kurt. I'm good.
What are we going to talk about today?
Jubilees.
So coming up, there's a holiday. What day are we on? 31?
Yes, happy 31.
31. So what does the flood, Shavuot,
Yeah.
Jubilees, and the calendar all have in common? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But
when you read it, you figure it out because all those details are there, which is amazing.
We've talked about on this channel, it's our fault if we don't know something because it was written down all this time. But this book has been hidden, man. It's been stashed away because.
And once you have those details, it's so simple. And everyone should be on the same calendar, like very close. I can understand if there's like a week or two off, but not these months and months of Passovers in February. No, wait, April, like March.
So we were
all
talking
over the place.
We were talking the other day, and there's a verse that somebody, I think it was Rob Skiba, had mentioned when he was alive, obviously. But there's a conversation between Jonathan and David, and they're getting ready to keep one of the feast days, right? They know coming up is it may have been Passover, even like Passover's coming up, and they're like, well, how would they know that? Do they have it on the calendar and stuff like that? Well, no, it doesn't change. It's written in. There's a big thing about it's written in the heavenly tables, and every time every time you come across that verse, it's just like.
It's so concrete. Like there's no switching, and we're told in Jubilees anyway, like you don't change. Like Passover's never going to be in a different month. Shavuot's always the 15th of the third month. Like these things are written in the heavenly tablets, and for sure. And that's so comforting when you come into this and you've heard, oh, there's this calendar and there's this style of calendar. Like there's such a variance in calendars.
In fact, that's one of the first questions I get. What calendar are you following?
Yeah. It's a big deal because you want to have the festivals on the right day.
I used to think, we'll get into this chapter here in a second, but I used to think that if you could, and this is after reading Jubilees, if you could figure out Shavuot, and then you can backwards engineer it 50 days, and you can get to. But I didn't realize how concrete when Passover is, when the 7 days of unleavened bread is, and then when you start the counting, it's perfect.
It is.
He knows. You can set your watch to it, man. It's so. And then there's also some things we're supposed to recognize. So I guess we'll get into Jubilees chapter 6. We're gonna figure out some stuff on the flood and Noah, and we'll go from there.
So originally we were going to talk about Noah, and then we have Shavuot coming up, and then we came across this chapter, and there's so many things that line up with Shavuot and overlay and overlay and overlay. It's amazing.
I knew because I had read it a while back that Noah was the first Shavuot. And people and then other people would say, well, what are you doing on Shavuot? Well, and nobody knows what to do. But boy, we're going to talk about it. Jubilee's going to tell us what to do, right? Because I send out a wave offering, and it's how does it parallel, I guess, coming out of Egypt? Because this is Moshe talking, right? Yes. So if there's a flood, right? So if there's 400 years in Egypt and then in slavery, then Yahuwah delivers you from this slavery, okay? Then there's a flood, 40 days, and then he delivers a family. Yeah. And he starts over, right? So, and we'll go on. Do you want to start off with chapter 6?
On the first of the third month, He left the ark and built an altar on this mountain. He made atonement for the earth, took a kid and atoned with its blood for all the sins of the earth, because everything that was on it had been obliterated, except those who were in the ark with Noah. He placed the fat on the altar. Then he took a bull, a ram, a sheep, goats, salt, a turtle dove, and a dove, and offered them as a burnt offering on the altar. He was pouring on them an offering mixed with oil, sprinkled wine, and put frankincense on everything. He sent up a pleasant fragrance that was pleasing before Yahweh. And Yahweh smelled the pleasant fragrance and made a covenant with him that there would be no floodwaters that would destroy the earth, that throughout all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest would not cease, that cold, heat, summer, and winter, day and night would not change their prescribed pattern and would never cease. So, right here we have Noah coming off the ark, and Yah's making this covenant with him. And that's the whole point of Shavuot, that we have this covenant. And here the covenant is that the flood is never going to destroy the whole earth again. But also our seasons are going to not change, and our days and nights are going to stay the same, which is super cool. All right, now you increase and multiply yourselves on the earth and become numerous upon it. Become a blessing within it. I will put fear on you and dread of you on everything that is on the earth and in the sea. I have now given you all the animals, all the cattle, everything that flies, everything that moves about on the earth, the fish in the waters, and everything for food. Like the green herbs, I've given you everything to eat. But you are not to eat animate beings with their spirit, with the blood, because the vital force of all animate beings is in the blood, so that your blood with your vital forces may not be required from the hand of any human being. From the hand of each one, I will require the blood of a human being. The person who sheds the blood of a human being will have his blood shed by a human being, because he made humanity in the image of God. As for you, increase and become numerous on the earth. Noah and his sons swore an oath not to consume any blood that was in any animate being. During this month, he made a covenant before Yahweh forever throughout all the history of the earth. For this reason, he told you too to make a covenant accompanied by an oath with the Israelites during this month on the mountain, and to sprinkle blood on them because of all the words of the covenant that Yahweh was making with them for all times. This testimony has been written regarding you to keep it for all times, so that you may not at any time eat any blood of animals or birds throughout all the days of the earth. As for the human being who has eaten the blood of an animal, of cattle, or of birds during all the days of the earth, he and his descendants will be uprooted from the earth. Now you command the Israelites not to eat any blood, so that their name and their descendants may continue to exist before Yahweh our God for all time. This law has no temporal limits because it is forever. They are to keep it throughout history, so that they may continue supplicating for themselves with blood in front of the altar each and every day. In the morning and in the evening, they are continually to ask pardon for themselves before Yahweh, so that they may keep it and not be uprooted. He gave Noah and his sons a sign that there would not again be a flood on the earth. He put his bow in the clouds as a sign of an eternal covenant, that there would not henceforth be floodwaters on the earth for the purpose of destroying it throughout all the days of the earth. For this reason, it has been ordained and written on the heavenly tablets that they should celebrate the festival of weeks during this month, once a year, to renew the covenant each and every year. This eternal festival has been celebrated in heaven from the time of creation until the lifetime of Noah, for 26 Jubilees and 5 weeks of years. Then Noah and his sons kept it for 7 Jubilees and 1 week of years until Noah's death. From the day of Noah's death, his sons corrupted it until Abraham's lifetime and were eating blood. Abraham alone kept it, and his sons, Isaac and Jacob, kept it until your lifetime. During your lifetime, the Israelites forgot it until I renewed it for them at this mountain. So that's at Mount Sinai, and this is Moses speaking. Now you command the Israelites to keep this festival during all their generations as a commandment for them. One day during the year, during this month, they are to celebrate the festival, because it is the festival of weeks, and it is the festival of first fruits. This festival is twofold and of two kinds. Celebrate it as it is written and inscribed regarding it.
I just find it, the timing of everything just so the timing of the Passover, the timing of the releasing of the children of Israel out of Egypt to get to the Shavuot, count 50 days from this exact day.
Yeah.
And then it's like of a double nature, right?
Yeah.
And how many times do we even talk about Noah's flood?
Right.
Like,
and here he's the first one that offers up, and it's atonement basically for the whole earth because everything had been corrupted, everything was awful. And then this Mount Sinai covenant is just as important. Like it's a renewal of this covenant, but it's also you get to enter in to be his people. You're given those 10 commandments, you're given the actual covenant, and you know what to do to be his people is beautiful. And then he talked there about having the Feast of Weeks, or the Festival of Weeks is how it's worded here. So here we are counting, we're counting 7 weeks, we're counting 50 days. We have 7 Sabbaths. That only works if you start counting on a Sunday. You end up on a Sunday. I mean, just the way this puzzle all fits together is so incredibly cool.
Yeah. Is that in the other channel? Is that on YouTube?
It is. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Should upload it. I'm gonna upload that in here into Rumble then.
Sure. Yeah.
It's because this is something that can be mapped out.
Yeah, it's not a mystery once you have these instructions. Like I didn't know Jubilees existed till last summer.
Yeah.
And all those details are there, and all the details in Enoch. I mean, it's just incredible.
For the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits, this feast is twofold of a double nature. So remember the Yahuwah bringing us out of Egypt, our ancestors out of Egypt, and also saving Noah and his family, so that they can repopulate the earth, man. But again, I don't.
And his people at Mount Sinai, like you're becoming his people. You're entering into that covenant. That is so rich in meaning. It's so cool.
The other piece of it is how he's calling it out, how it leapfrogs the history of people who are going to be obedient. Like it.
Yeah.
It's Noah, and then as soon as Noah dies, we're done.
Right?
Dude, you just went through and saw what happens when you disobey the Father, man. He just destroyed everything. Well, he said he wouldn't do it again, so I think we're good. Like,
that's a good point. How quickly we rebel from what we know is right. And then, I mean, thankfully, he established everything again and retaught Abraham. And then Abraham has Isaac and Jacob, and they continue this righteous line, basically. But then the Israelites had forgotten it. And then, okay, it's reestablished through Moses. Okay, reestablished it at Mount Sinai. And then they quickly don't do it. It's just like,
And then it comes back to, like we've said in previous videos, it starts with number 1. We're just messing up number 1, so why would we have respect for anything else, man? But thank you, Father, for this is the new thing that he was going to do, is to put it on our hearts that we start doing it.
Yeah, that's so incredible.
Okay,
and then we also have Isaac is born on Shavuot later on. So we have all these things that layer on Shavuot. I just think that gives it so much more importance than I even knew before.
So this it seems like it's a random thing. Like, why would he say count 50 days? It just seems so. Well, let's remember this, man. But nobody's even talking about the flood in relation to this time of year, Matt. It's so cool.
Oh, and that the covenant is such a big deal. Like that, I don't think we hardly talk about enough because it's such a big deal.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to start at verse 22, and this is Jubilees chapter 6. For I have written in the book of the first law, in that which I have written for thee, and thou shouldest celebrate it in. So this is written in. I'll start over again. For I have written in the book of the first law, in which I have written for thee, that thou shouldest celebrate it in its season, one day in the year, and I explain to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, one day in every year. Yeah. And on the new moon of the first month, so you're saying at the new month, right?
Yes, I have on the first of the first month.
Okay. And this, we're going to see something about the moon later on in this verse, so a chapter, right. And I just want to not say the importance of the moon. It's just, and on the new moon on the fourth month, this is how it's written, sorry. Yeah. And on the new moon of the seventh month, so on the new moon of the first month, on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the years of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever.
Yeah.
And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for generations forever. And they have become thereby a memorial unto him. And on the new moons of the first month, he was bidden to make for himself an ark. On that day, the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth.
Yeah, when you begin your year, that first month, that first day, we're to remember that Noah was told to build that ark and that the earth became dry. Happy New Year Day is also remember Noah. Remember that God provided him, like instructed him to build that ark and brought him through that whole flood. And also, afterwards, the earth was dry. Like it happened on the same day. And I think that's so cool how Yah overlaps days. So the importance of this too is that it's not a Sabbath, but that Yah allowed Noah to establish these memorial days is so cool. And I didn't know about these till I read Jubilees.
So we already missed the first month.
No, we remembered that.
Right? No, it's 2 things. He built for himself an ark, and on that day the earth became dry. And he opened the ark and
so those overlap. Like it's the same day, but you're remembering that not only did Yah instruct Noah to build this perfectly and allow him to like sustain through the flood and brought him to dry land is so incredible.
And the even cooler thing is this is when this is when humanity begins again. It's like the start.
Yeah, restart. Here's your opportunity.
Okay, so the moon of the 4th month, the mouths of the depths of the abyss beneath were closed, and on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abyss of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. So we have the opening and the closing. So it's, I don't want to say yin and yang, but it's yin and yang, right? It's just Yahuwah's way. Remember this. I did this, but then I did that.
Yeah. So he's the causer of the flood, and he's also the relinquisher of the flood. And then the whole earth is renewed. You've got all the plants again. You have all the animals renew, people renew. It's an incredible plan.
And it keeps Yahuwah in your brain. It doesn't say it's a Shabbat or you're supposed to have a festival, but it's supposed to be remembered. Okay, this is when I do it. And now on the new moon, yeah, right. So there's the opening and the closing of the waters, right? Yeah. So, and on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this account, he ordained them for himself as feasts for memorial forever, and thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the heavenly tablets. Each had 13 weeks from one to another, past their memorial, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. That's an awkwardly worded sentence. What does 29 say to you?
What that means is between that memorial of the first month and the first of the fourth month, there's 13 weeks. And between the memorial of the first of the fourth to that seventh, there's 13 weeks. And then we have the 7th to the 10th is 13 weeks. And then the 10th to the 1st again is 13 weeks. So if you think of your calendar as this clock almost, each quarter has 13 weeks. And I didn't have that puzzle piece, right?
And the
And now I
interesting thing
do.
to me is like in business, we operate in quarters, right? Where does that
Yeah,
even come from? Right here.
I think so. And it's so perfect. It's like clockwork. Everything fits. Once you have the information, it does fit. And there's never an overlap. Shabbat never overlaps with another. Shabbat is a festival of its own. Like Yah ordained Sabbath first. And I think that's so cool. And all of his days happen exactly the same day, year after year. You always have a Passover on a Tuesday. You always have Shavuot on a Sunday. Like it's always literally the 15th of the third month. Is incredible.
Right. Okay. And all the days of the commandment will be 250 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete.
Yeah.
So 52 weeks.
Yeah. Exactly. So your always begins on a Wednesday. Guess what? It always ends on a Tuesday, and you have a complete week. there's no there's no extra days. There's no extra month. It's incredible.
And then even the first month doesn't start in the fall.
Mm-mm.
It starts in the spring, which would
Yeah.
make sense. You know, everything is reborn, which is
Mhm.
kind of like the whole birth of the earth coming back
Yeah.
from the flood, dude. It
Yeah.
all just lines up if you let your brain just roll with it. It's like, oh,
And
okay.
we have not made the flood such an important event, I don't think. It's kind of, it's one of those Sunday school stories we're kind of brushed aside. Even Noah, like, what? He did everything he was supposed to do in his generation. He was perfect, and God gave him all these instructions and he carried them out. Like, that's a big deal. And I
One,
don't think,
just one out of how many?
yeah.
Nobody else.
And in chapter 5 of Jubilees, I mean, Yah had everything on these tablets that we've been talking about, the heavenly tablets. He's perfectly just. He had ordained for every type of creature, every type of person, what they were to do. And they totally went astray enough that by chapter 6, there's this worldwide flood. Like, it's incredible.
And the importance of the blood, right? And it's just
Mm,
so. let me
yeah.
continue on 30, and then I'll read to the end,
Yeah.
and then we'll wrap it up. And all the days of the commandment will be 250 weeks of days. I know I just read that, but I just want to make sure we understand that it's only 52 weeks. There's no adding an extra month. If you're doing that, we'll see what happens here. These will make the entire year complete. Thus, it is given and ordained on the heavenly tablets. Like all the days of the commandment. This is the year. It's a commandment. It's not just mamby pamby whatever. And there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year. You're gonna do it. You got to do it. And the commandment, thou, the children of Israel, that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, Then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged. That's in brackets. I don't know why. And they will neglect their ordinances, and all the children of Israel will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons, and the seasons, and the Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me and on the heavenly tablets. The division of the days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons, and it comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day. And they will confound all the days, and the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy, for they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. Notice that. Messing up the seasons and following the moon is equated to eating blood, man.
Don't do it.
Put that in your brain. Put that in your brain, guys.
Yeah.
And it's like the biggest thing that I hear since I've been doing this. Maybe I already said it when we were recording. Is which calendar are you following?
Yeah, it's
Because
a
nobody
big deal.
knows what day it is.
Right?
And I thought you had to look back in history, and there's other people that are doing research on graveyards and this, that, and the other. No, dude, it's right here. It's all right here. Like
Yeah.
you just start fresh, right?
Yes.
Because we've read it in, Yahuwah says, like if you can make a deal with the sun not to come up.
Yeah.
Like he puts these things in the sky, in the place.
Yes.
It's his calendar, dude.
Yes. And his covenant is so sure, just as that sun coming up every morning, that nighttime occurring, those seasons occurring. Like it's so ordained and so for sure. There's no wiggle room. It's his covenant. And the cool thing in chapter 5 was that it's the Israelites that have this chance to have their sins forgiven once every year. Like we're to do this Day of Atonement that we have forgiveness for our sins. And it's all right there. It's also covenant, like permanent in there, like that eternal covenant is so incredible.
So what are you
that's what
going
we
to
get
do
to
for
celebrate.
Shavuot? What are you going to do for Shavuot this year?
I'm going to celebrate the covenant, and I'm going to remember that God brought Noah off that ark.
I am too, and I'm going to have a big old steak and a barbecue, and
Yeah.
hopefully the Father appreciates the aroma, because it's delish. And
it's a big deal.
Wow, what a trip, man! What a trip! And no, Kurt and Jen, you're wrong, because I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow the moon, and I'm
Go
going to
for it.
follow. I'm going to follow these plants. I'm going to, dude. No, 364 days a year, man.
Yeah, his instructions are so clear and they're so detailed. Like he's made a way that we could know his ways. Is so cool.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I think it's super good.